Tying up a real simple Carrie Stevens fly today. This is called the pattern number 2. One of the few flies that I know that she does that does not have throat on it. More importantly, the wing is very, very basic on this. There's no jungle cock cheeks or shoulders or anything. It's just 2 hackles. Now, interesting thing about this, it is named the pattern number 2. I'm assuming that's because as she created different flies, she would have a pattern number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10 or whatever that eventually would get used and get names. I'm assuming that. I know that my own tying, there are flies that I usually give them a number or something, and eventually somebody likes them or somebody thinks up a name and then the name goes with it. That may be the case with some of her flies. I don't know why this one didn't end up with a name, but this is the pattern number 2, and I'll get started tying. Start the Carrie Stevens pattern number 2 with my hook in the vise. This is a Mustad R79 in a size 6, a 9X long streamer hook. I'm going to T-barb that. I'm going to attach my thread. The body is a red floss body with no tail, a tip, and a rib on it. So I'm going to use a white for the red floss. This is a UTC 210 denier. I normally would use a 140 denier, but I do not have any. So I'm just going to use the 210. The other thing about the pattern number 2 is the head is just white. So there's no band of color, there's no black or anything like that. So I can get away with, because it also does not have, it has an underbelly, but it has no throat. It has no underwing on it. So the head won't get too big by using this particular thread. Now, the tip and the rib is a silver tinsel. I'm using a Danville. This is a silver and Mylar tinsel in a size 12. Now I'm going to tie that in with the gold side up. And I'm going to wrap backwards, I should say rearwards, past the point of the hook a little bit, and then back up. It's up to you. If you want a longer body, you can wrap further up the hook shank, stop right here. But if you want a shorter body, some people will even split it right about halfway to have the back half. But usually if it's a tip that they're saying in the recipe, that's just a small portion back here. If it's going to be long enough that it takes up half the body, usually they're just going to say the body is half tinsel and half floss. So now the red floss, I'm using a Danville 4-strand rayon in red. I'm going to tie this in so that it's about the length of the body. And then I'm going to start to wrap forward. This will give me a nice smooth underbody with that floss. And in case you're wondering, again, if this is if you're new to these types of flies, I'm using the white thread because these flosses, when they get wet, will darken up. If I use a black thread under it, it's just going to aid it to be even darker. Some of them even to the point where they're almost all the color disappears and they're black. A lot of the wet flies also employ this technique of putting white thread underneath where the floss is at so that it will help it to retain its color as much as possible. Now I'm going to apply the floss body, and then I will put in the tinsel tip and rib. When you're applying the tinsel for the rib, it is not important in terms of how many wraps of tinsel you have in there, as much as that they are evenly spaced. So if you want more, put more. If you want less, do less. And as I mentioned, the pattern number 2 only has a white belly and the wing in this. It's a very uncomplicated pattern. There's no throat on it, there's no underwing or anything. And the belly on this is just some white bucktail, kind of a Carrie Stevens standard. Sometimes she'll throw in some golden pheasant crest, also is an underwing or a belly. But for this one, it is just white bucktail, which is going to be about 3/8 to half an inch beyond the bend of the hook. Secure that underneath. Trim away the excess. I'm going to smooth this area off here for our wing. And the wing on this is also extremely simple. Most of hers will have 2 hackles on one side and then a jungle cock or maybe a shoulder or something. This one is simply 2 light olive hackles. That's it. So you get your 2 hackles, put them concave side facing each other so it flattens out. I'm still going to tie these in one at a time on both sides. You could do it together if you want, but I want to make certain that I'm getting the hackles on this on the outside of the hook shank. I don't want to tie it all on the hook shank and then kind of squish them down. Let me twist up my thread here. So what I'm looking for, I want that rachis to go about right along the hook shank. What I'm looking for is to have these barbs right here coming down over the sides, which if you tie them both in and on top at the same time, A lot of times that doesn't happen. They're going to slip over to one side or get smashed down or whatnot. So tying, and you can, there are ways you can tie these in both at the same time and make certain that you're getting those hackles in correctly. Take care to make certain that these are staying where they're supposed to and that they are in the same plane as the hook, so they're right, nice and vertical. And then if everything is correct, we'll go ahead and shape the head here, covering those butt ends of those rake-us up. And we're just going to shape all of this so that it looks finished. No black bands in it, no colored bands, no nothing. I don't think this is really as important right here that you have them sitting right on the sides, because when this gets wet and in the water, they're going to kind of go where they want to go, especially after you catch a fish or two on this and they start getting torn up a little bit. But they're just going to kind of flow in the water here as they're going to. But so that this looks great for everybody on the internet, I'm just going to take a little time to make certain I have that kind of looking the way you want it. Now, certainly if you're going to frame this, then that's what you would want to do. You would want to take a little extra time to make certain that this is all the way it's supposed to be. I find that because it's just one hackle on each side, that the barbs up here kind of get smushed or pushed around a little bit. Maybe that's just my inexperience with tying these flies and using just one hackle. Put in my whip finish. If I had changed over, I could have changed over to a smaller diameter thread, mind you, and I'd have a little bit smaller head there. I don't think that that's too bad. Some head cement on that. I'm going to come back and put some clear lacquer on that just to give that a little bit more durability, make it look a little bit nicer. But that is the pattern number 2. Very straightforward, very simple Carrie Stevens streamer. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vice today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.